Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. I've got an all-new camera and an all-new mic, so if you love these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a full-sized but delightfully traditional Breitling Transocean Chronograph, 43 millimeters in diameter. The watch is 14.7 millimeters thick, with a spacing of 22 millimeters between the lugs for a broad stance, and a span of 55.2 millimeters lug-to-lug, though you can see the curvature of the lugs helps the watch to fit better down and around the sides of a borderline wrist. And I am a borderline wrist. 16 centimeters in circumference. My forearm is probably the lower limit. Right around 15 centimeters would probably be the smallest wrist that I would recommend for this watch. Zoom out a little bit, and you can see the timepiece is big, though traditionally styled. It's nothing like the other Breitlings of these dimensions. The timepiece designed to venerate the past rather than promote size or high polish, though it does have both, featuring a remarkably robust Breitling strap, factory fitted thick contrasting stitch aviator style calfskin black with a sheer cut. You can see the layers of construction, and a simple Breitling winged steel B pin buckle. Also note that the bridge is elevated above the stanchion, so the strap sits inside the buckle rather than stacking up underneath. A small but thoughtful detail. Like the quality of the strap itself, which surpasses expectations, the buckle is nicely designed and a thoughtful, much appreciated detail. The caseband here is strong. As you can see, the lugs are stepped out from the caseband, which prevents the caseband from seeming unduly massive or monolithic. That little vertical character line at each corner really does add a welcome wrinkle. You'll also note that there's a subtle bevel that flares along the shoulder of the lugs, and the lugs individually are quite fluid. They have a handsome form, and they do gracefully curve down around your wrist, so if you're borderline, the watch is not going to look awkward. It will look right. The timepiece also has a vintage-inspired set of pump pushers, Breitling B crown. Turn it a little bit further toward the camera, you can begin to see that there is a very minimalist conical bezel. The bezel on this watch is a minor feature, a silver halo as it were. The crystal is of a box section and domed on its top, so box section and cambered, not a cheap piece to specify. It's a handsome inclusion that has a little bit of an air of a vintage plexiglass like you might have seen on an 810 or 815 reference Venus 178 powered top time of the 1960s. Now you can see the watch has a glorious opaline or matte style silver dial. You have anthracite sub-registers with a little bit of a countersink and a dished profile, so they do add a different focal plane to the dial. All of the indices are polished in applique, so the dial feels contemporary and premium. You can see they're nicely polished and faceted. The hands at center are loomed. There will be a loom shot, a little bit of a vintage-inspired 3-minute hash indication to recall that when the original watches were made, long-distance calls were billed in 3, 6, and 9-minute increments, so that's why this register has that calibration on the chronograph minutes. You can also see that there's a step down from the plane of the dial to the disc itself, so there's a little bit of a break that helps to ease the transition from the plane of the dial to the disc. That aperture is always a sign of attention to detail. Small dots of loom outside of the applique indices, so it is a loomed watch. There will be a loom shot, applique and polished Breitling B at 12 o'clock, and then a tachymeter outboard, calibrated such that we can expect to gauge the speed of relatively fast-moving objects in miles per hour or kilometers per hour, as units are not specified. Turn it all over. Breitling manufacturer caliber B01. Let's get a little bit closer here, see if I can maintain my focus. I'm still working in this new camera, and as you can see, 47 joule automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, Breitling manufacturer movement B01. Movement that features, as you can see, a polished column wheel, and you can see that you can't see the vertical clutch, but the two features working in tandem. Very crisp action. Listen carefully. The pusher feel on a B01 is right on par with the caliber 400 Zenith El Primero. Among the tactile experiences in the chronograph segment that I consider the best in the business. Automatic winding, it is a manufacturer caliber beaten away at 8 beats per second or 28,800 vibrations per hour. The vertical clutch system allows you to leave the chronograph running full time, so if you prefer to have center seconds, just leave the chronograph running. You won't have to look at the sub-register, just look at the center for seconds, minutes, and hours. It also allows the system to start up with no jump or stagger. That's the advantage of a vertical clutch. No additional wear and tear when the chronograph is running. and no jump or stutter when you start the chronograph. Of course, the column wheel, a very traditional fashion of building a chronograph, more expensive and more challenging to tune than a cam system, but Breitling not pinching pennies here. You see Edachron regulation with an eccentric screw, the two features allowing this watch to be adjusted quite precisely, and in fact it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. In spite of the display case back, the watch does have 100-meter water resistance, and if you are wondering, you have both stop seconds or hacking and a quick set date for rapidly cycling. This watch is the full package: a sports watch, a modern watch, a vintage-inspired watch, and a versatile watch. One of the best modern Breitling offerings. The 2011 to present Transocean chronographs have been wonderful pieces, and the legend continues. See this one and make it yours on the watch box. Breitling Transocean Chronograph by night, fully loomed, double index at 12, hours and minutes hands visible.